also on national TV on ABC, as all eyes around the state, around the country, around the world are on the Indiana Fever. And Bria, this is going to be a lot of fun.
She did in 41 games what took a WNBA legend 565. Let that sink in. Caitlin Clark just crushed one of the most impossible milestones in pro basketball and made it look easy. 3 career triple-doubles, a feat that used to define a Hall of Fame career, now looks like Caitlin's warm-up phase. And here's the wild part. Diana Taurasi, the so-called GOAT, needed 565 games to get there. Caitlin, just 41. That's not a comparison. That's a total annihilation.
Wow! You bet! From beyond the logo! And a little point afterwards!
This isn't just about numbers. It's about pace, dominance, and how Clark is flipping the script on what greatness actually looks like. Taurasi spent nearly 2 decades building a legacy. Clark is rewriting it in less than 2 seasons. One player grinding year after year to chase history, while another is breaking it like it's nothing. No contest, but it gets even crazier.
That from her, catching around that 15-foot area. Clark
connects! The first logo bomb of the season from Caitlin Clark.
Clark didn't stumble into those stats. She controlled every second of those games, dropping dimes, crashing boards, and scoring from logo range like she was in a video game. And while Taurasi was once praised for her all-around game, Clark is redefining what all-around even means. We're talking 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists in one night, as a point guard, and people still wonder why she's getting all the attention.
Clark, oh, what a look! And Hull lays it in!
Let's be honest, if any other rookie hit these numbers, the media would be foaming at the mouth. But because it's Caitlin Clark, critics want to nitpick her defense, her leadership, her so-called attitude. Meanwhile, she's embarrassing veterans, setting records at record speed, and turning the Indiana Fever into playoff threats overnight. And you want to compare that to Taurasi's drawn-out legacy? Come on.
There it is! A triple!
What's even more embarrassing for the old guard is how effortless Clark makes it all look. Her vision, next level. Her court presence, untouchable. And her impact? Let's just say, when Caitlin walks in, the whole league shifts. And Diana? She's busy holding onto records Caitlin is blowing past in a blink. Because Clark isn't just here to break records, she's here to bury legacy. And after what she just did in Game 1, it's pretty clear, the WNBA belongs to Caitlin Clark now.
Kevin, how much you drop this night?
Throw your tie-dye fire.
Appreciate it. Let's go!
Only the 3rd player in league history, and somehow, she made it look routine. Caitlin Clark stepped onto the court with all eyes watching, and walked off with a triple-double that made history. 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, in a season opener. That's a performance reserved for all-time greats, and she just did it like it was another day at the office. You can't coach this. You can't fake this. You either are that player, or you're not. And guess what? She is.
Business Game 1. 20, 10, and 10. 20, 10, and 10.
People doubted whether she'd live up to the hype. They called her overrated, said she couldn't translate to the pros. 1 game in, and she's already rewriting the entire WNBA record book. The only other 2 players to ever post that stat line in a season opener? Veterans, legends, players who had to claw their way to relevant. But Caitlin? She made that same history in year 2. Still think she's just a hype machine? Let's be real, this wasn't just about stats. She controlled the entire flow of the game. Her assists weren't just passes, they were perfectly timed dagger. Her rebounds? Over taller, stronger players who couldn't box her out if they tried. And when she scored, it wasn't just points, it was a statement. Every bucket screamed, I'm not just here to play, I'm here to own this league. And the worst part for her critics? She did it in front of a national audience, with Angel Reese and the sky on the other side, completely helpless. But that wasn't even the most disrespectful part. Because Caitlin Clark wasn't chasing stats. She wasn't padding numbers. She was leading, guiding her team to a 35-point demolition of Chicago. While others were busy talking trash on social media and dropping passive-aggressive interviews, Clark let her game do the talking. And what it said, loud and clear, "You're not even close." This wasn't just dominance. This was humiliation, disguised as history.
About under 30% from the field. You guys are up comfortably most of the second half. What did you like about what you guys did defensively and how it limited them today?
I thought we were disruptive. I thought we came with a level of physicality. Anytime you can keep a team in this league to under 20 points.
And it begs the question, if she's already doing this in season openers, what happens when she really locks in? Because while everyone else is still trying to prove themselves, Caitlin Clark is proving she's already above the rest.
They running this motion offense stuff. When Aaliyah Boston is not on the floor, that opens the floor up for Caitlin Clark to do her thing, to dish, read and react.
11 records, one night, and not a single apology. The Indiana Fever didn't just win, they rewrote the entire rulebook in front of a stunned crowd. 11 records fell like dominoes, but one stood out above the rest, the most combined blocks by a guard-center duo in WNBA season opener history. Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, two names the league will soon regret underestimating, joined forces to erase shot after shot like they were taking it personally. And judging by how hard they played, they probably were. 9 blocks. Let that number sit for a second. That's not normal. That's not even supposed to be possible from a backcourt-frontcourt pairing. But Clark and Boston made it look like child's play. While the Sky were busy posting pregame trash talk and warming up with selfies, Indiana was preparing to humiliate them on both ends of the court. And that's exactly what happened. Caitlin Clark, the so-called offense-only guard, stuffed 4 shots like a veteran rim protector. Not chase-down blocks. Not accidental tips. Real, forceful, momentum-shifting rejections that left Chicago stunned and scrambling. And Boston? She turned the paint into a no-fly zone. 5 blocks. 13 rebound, and a look on her face like she'd been waiting all week for this matchup. This wasn't some random lucky night. This was planned punishment. And here's the part the media won't admit. This was a message. A direct, cold-blooded warning to every star in the league still living off college hype. The Angel Reeses, the Camila Cardosos. Players who walk into games expecting to run the paint, only to find Boston and Clark waiting with locked arms and zero sympathy. And the most damning part? Clark and Boston aren't even in their prime yet. They're still figuring it out. So if this is what they're doing now, breaking records, shutting down offenses, flipping the scoreboard upside down, what's going to happen when they actually peak? Here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. This wasn't just an elite performance, it was total domination disguised as a season opener, a blueprint for destruction, and a slap in the face to every so-called veteran who thought this Fever team would still be rebuilding. They're not rebuilding, they're burying. And if you thought breaking 11 records in one night was wild, just wait, because what's coming next will make this look like the warm-up. While everyone was focused on the future, one player tried to remind us of the past. DeWanna Bonner, the 36-year-old vet, quietly slid into third place on the WNBA's all-time scoring list, surpassing 7,488 career points. That's a big deal, sure. But the truth? It felt like a side note, because no matter how loud the crowd clapped, everyone knew the spotlight wasn't on Bonner. It was on Clark, Boston, and the new blood dominating the league. She hit her milestone on a pair of free throws. No flashy plays, no game winner. Just 2 calm shots at the line in the fourth quarter of a 35-point blowout. The arena cheered out of respect, but it wasn't excitement. It was more like a retirement party than a revolution. And honestly, that's what it felt like. The last standing ovation before the torch gets ripped out of her hands. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Bonner's career hasn't exactly been unstoppable. She's bounced around teams, racked up points slowly, and stayed just long enough to climb the charts through sheer survival. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is blowing past records in a fraction of the games. Bonner may be third in points, but she's never owned the league like Clark is right now. Even her presence on this new-look Fever squad isn't about dominance, it's about mentorship. She's not leading anymore. She's watching the next generation fly past her like she's standing still. Aaliyah Boston's out here owning the paint, while Bonner's legacy is stuck in the past. But that's the uncomfortable truth about this moment. Sure, the stat matters. Sure, she earned it. But when the cameras zoomed in and the PA announcer shouted her name, most fans were still whispering about Clark's triple-double and Boston's block party. That roar from the crowd? It wasn't for a comeback, it was a goodbye wave to an era that's fading fast. And what happened next only made it more obvious. Because while Bonner was walking into history, Clark and Boston were rewriting it. On the very same night, in the same building, wearing the same jersey. But one was chasing milestones, while the others were setting the new standard. So let's not pretend the spotlight was shared. It wasn't. Bonner hit her moment, but Clark stole the night. Angel Reese said she was ready. Aaliyah Boston made sure she wasn't. From the opening tip, it was clear one of them came to dominate, and it wasn't the one doing all the talking during the week. Aaliyah Boston turned the paint into a battlefield and left Angel Reese searching for answers she didn't have. 5 blocks, 13 rebounds, all while barely breaking a sweat. That wasn't just defense, that was a full-blown shutout. This wasn't some back-and-forth battle. It was one-sided from the jump. Reese came in loud, press conferences, interviews, and posts hyping up the matchup like she had something to prove. But the second she stepped into Boston's lane, she vanished. Shot after shot, erased. Position after position, lost. And the worst part? Every time Reese went up, Boston was already there, waiting, reading, reacting. Like she'd already watched the game before it happened. And the numbers don't lie either. With this performance, Boston climbed to 8th all-time in Fever franchise history for rebounds in just her 3rd season. That's faster than almost anyone in league history has done it. While Reese was busy padding her social media, Boston was stacking career milestones like bricks. Quiet, focused, deadly. And here's what no one wants to say out loud. Reese isn't built for this matchup. She can talk the talk, but when it comes time to back it up, Boston owns her, physically, mentally, and statistically. One is a cornerstone, the other, just trying to stay relevant. If this was a measuring stick game, the gap between them just became a canyon. And what Boston did next would make that gap even wider. Because when most bigs get tired from grinding in the paint, they let their guard down. Boston didn't blink. She played like every shot was personal, like every rebound was a trophy. And she left the court without just a win, but with complete control over the narrative. This wasn't a rivalry, it was a lesson. And Angel Reese? She got schooled. They said she couldn't play defense. She just broke the WNBA record for it. Caitlin Clark, the so-called offensive weapon, just set the bar on fire, 4 blocks in a single season opener, the most ever by a point guard in league history. And just like that, every critic who said she was soft on defense looked completely clueless. This wasn't a lucky bounce or some accidental stat line. This was intentional domination, and it left everyone stunned. Let's get one thing straight. Point guards don't block shots like this, especially not in their 2nd season. But Clark isn't a typical guard. She read the court like a chessboard and swatted shots that should have been easy layups. Guards tried to drive on her, thinking she was an easy target. Bad move. She sent them packing over and over. These weren't weak tip-outs or finger grazes. These were full rejections. Forceful, loud, disrespectful. The kind of blocks that make the crowd gasp and the opposing team rethink their entire game plan. Clark didn't just defend, she embarrassed people. She turned defense into a highlight reel, and no one saw it coming. So what does that say about the people who doubted her? For months, we heard it all. She's a liability. She can't guard at the next level. She's all offense. Turns out, they were all dead wrong. Not only did Clark lock in, she broke a record doing it. And while those talking heads keep running their mouths, Clark's out here doing the one thing they can't, proving it on the court. But this wasn't even her best trick, because she did it while running the offense, grabbing rebounds, and dropping dimes, without ever slowing down. While other guards get subbed out to rest, Clark was stuffing the stat sheet on both ends. A complete game, a record-setting opener, and a shut-up call to anyone still pretending she's a one-dimensional player. So the next time someone questions her defense, just remind them, Caitlin Clark made history before they finished their sentence. 565 games versus 41. That's not a rivalry, that's a reality check. Caitlin Clark just tied Diana Taurasi's total number of 20-point, 10-assist games. The difference? Taurasi needed her entire career to do it. Clark did it in just 41 games. That's not just fast, it's unheard of. While Taurasi was busy crawling to greatness over 2 decades, Clark is sprinting past her like she's standing still. Think about it. What took Diana years to build, Clark replicated in a few months. And she's not done. She's just getting started. If this was a race, Taurasi wouldn't just be behind, she'd be lapped. And here's where it gets uncomfortable for the old heads. Taurasi is still playing, clinging to her spot in history, while Clark is out here erasing her records one by one. 9 20-point, 10-assist games used to mean you were elite. Now, it just means you've caught up to someone who's already passed you in influence, skill, and fan impact. Clark is dominating the same stat category, but doing it with half the ego and triple the efficiency. This isn't just a numbers comparison, it's a shift in power. The WNBA has spent years propping up Taurasi as the gold standard, but if Caitlin Clark ties your biggest numbers in 7% of the time, what does that say about the legacy you've built? It says it wasn't nearly as untouchable as we were told. Clark didn't knock on the door, she kicked it down and walked right in. And it's not just this stat. Clark has shattered record after record, all while carrying a franchise, boosting ratings, and turning casual fans into full-blown believers. Meanwhile, Taurasi's highlights are sitting in the vault, slowly collecting dust. This isn't personal, it's just reality. Clark is what the league is now. Taurasi? She's what it used to be. But here's the part no one wants to say. Deep down, the league needs this changing of the guard. Because fans don't want slow, methodical careers anymore. They want stars who dominate fast, who break the rules, who bring energy and electricity to every play. And that's Clark. Every night, every stat, every moment. Taurasi had her time. But the Caitlin Clark era? It's already here, and the clock's not slowing down for anybody. This wasn't just a win, it was a warning. The Indiana Fever didn't show up to play. They showed up to take over. What we just witnessed wasn't a strong performance, it was a blueprint for WNBA domination. A perfect mix of rising superstars and battle-tested vets came together and steamrolled a team that thought it had a chance. And the scary part? They're just getting started. You had Caitlin Clark running the floor like a general, putting up historic numbers, and humiliating anyone who got in her way. Aaliyah Boston made the paint her personal property, shutting down so-called rising stars who couldn't even get a clean shot. Then you add DeWanna Bonner, third all-time in scoring, bringing championship DNA and leadership to a team that now looks terrifyingly complete. This is bigger than just one game. This is the future of the league. The WNBA has never seen this kind of blend, explosive youth backed by elite veterans who've actually won something. The chemistry? Unmatched. The depth? Unfair. The results? A 35-point beatdown that should have been illegal. While other franchises are still figuring out rotations, Indiana is out here breaking records and breaking egos. And let's not pretend this was close. The Chicago Sky walked in with swagger, social media hype, and big talk from Angel Reese. They walked out looking like they just got hit by a freight train. That game wasn't competitive, it was embarrassing. And if this is what Indiana's capable of in Game 1, the rest of the league better pray this roster doesn't peak too soon. Because here's the truth no one wants to admit. The WNBA's old guard? It's fading, fast. Those slow-paced, grinded-out vets can't keep up. The game has changed. The Fever are faster, smarter, hungrier, and now, they're deadly efficient. This win wasn't just a statement. It was a declaration. The Indiana Fever are coming for everything. So the question isn't if they'll win a championship, it's how soon. And judging by what we just saw, the clock's already ticking.